Hello and welcome. My name is Ashley. Today's book review is going to be on Dark Mysteries by Jessica Gadaziala. And I know I've been focused a lot on her recently. That's mainly because I screwed up and did this completely out of order, and now I'm kind of trying to make some sense of it. I read the Malik brothers first, and I did a review on that, and I wasn't sure, but I thought Hunter and Fee might have their own book. One of you amazing people commented below that video and let me know they did, and that was For a Good Time Call, which I completely love the name of that book. And I love that book. That was Fee's book. Well, I would say Fee and Hunter, but it has a lot more to do with Fee than Hunter. Anyways, read that book, loved that book. And then under that one, someone let me know that Jessica has a read order list on her website, which is brilliant. And I did put it in the description of, I think, For a Good Time Call. So if you want to read these in order, go to the website. It's a lot easier. When I did that, I realized this book, Dark Mysteries, is actually the beginning of this entire series. It goes Dark Mysteries, then Fee's book and her brother Isaiah's book, then the Malik brothers. After this, then I just have to read Isaiah's book and I'll be back in order, I guess is my point. That really long introduction was just a way for me to explain that, first of all, this is a book review of Dark Mysteries, the very first book in the read order list on Jessica's website. There is that list, and you should probably follow it from the beginning so that you're not hopping all over the place like I am. And I'm going to make a playlist for Jessica because now I have 3 videos for her, and that way you can put them in order and read them in order. That being said, this book is about Ellie and Xander. I want to mention that when I read the Malik brothers, I felt like Hunter and Fee probably had their own book. It seemed like there was a story there that I just wasn't aware of, and it turned out I was right. So when I read For a Good Time Call, I felt like it fit the Malik brothers really well. Granted, I thought the father was a little different. His attitude was, but for the most part, those two things went really well together. When I read this book, I was expecting that same kind of cohesion. And so, for instance, when Ellie had a neighbor with green eyes, I automatically assumed it was going to be Fiona. And then I find out it's not. When Xander has a partner, I assume it's going to be one of the boys, one of the Malik brothers, and it's not. Personally, I didn't see how this book fit into this series other than there's some elements of organized crime, and it's going to be a dark series. There's a woman in peril, which kind of seems to be the trend through these books, but in my opinion, I don't think that you lose anything. I didn't feel like I gained anything by reading this book for the Malik Brothers series, which is kind of what I'm calling Fiona and the Malik Brothers, all of that. I know that I'm missing Descent, so maybe I'll find a connection when I read that book. But as of right now, I don't see why this one is absolutely imperative to the beginning of this series, which you would think, because it's the first book in the series, I would expect it to. That's all I'm saying. The book itself is dark, I would say on the same level as For a Good Time Call. I don't think that this book had as much balance with the light and dark times, and mainly that's because Ellie's currently on the run the entire time until the very, very end. She's going to be on the run or captured. Something is going to be happening in her life. So with Fiona's book, because it was after everything bad had happened and now she was basically dealing with building a business and Hunter, it wasn't currently happening to her. In Ellie's book, it is currently happening to her, and she's almost surrounded by darkness. There are moments of light, for instance, finding Xander helping her, taking her in so that she didn't have to go back to her apartment where she had to worry about everything. In general, though, I would say that this was written as more of a suspense than the other books. And at the beginning of this book, Ellie is banging on the door of a private investigator. She's dealing with her own stalker. Her ex-boyfriend has basically been following her around the country. At that exact moment, he had found where she lived, got into her apartment, and beat her up. She was able to escape with some help from some teenagers in the area, but clearly she's rattled, and I think she was looking for a way to get out of this situation even before he found her. It seemed like she had done some research and was getting sick of running all the time. Long story short, at 18 years old, Ellie found herself in a relationship with a really bad drug lord. I think he's the largest drug lord in New Jersey. He's a lot older than her. The first several months were perfect, and she even goes into describing how he did everything for her, treated her so perfect, and made her life so amazing that she didn't notice the signs like him pulling her away from her friends, her father, asking her to quit college, move in with him. Signs that she thinks she should have known because her father did warn her of those things because he was a police officer. Her mother, I believe, passed away when she was young. It seems like she hasn't been in the picture for a very long time, and she had been raised by her father primarily her entire life. So she missed a lot of signs, and then once it becomes abusive, she's actually in the relationship for a little over 2 years before she's able to escape. After that, now she's hopping city to city to city trying to escape because the boyfriend is following her around, which seems odd. But stalkers are odd. Why would you want to run around the country following somebody who doesn't want anything to do with you? But people do it. So I wouldn't say that it's out of character for some people, as horrible as that would be. When she meets Xander, she really only tells him part of the truth, and that's mainly out of previous experiences. She's tried to meet with security guys and private investigators before, but they don't want to get involved with a drug lord chasing a woman around the nation. And unfortunately for her, there's not a ton that can be done, short of getting actual evidence and proof that the drug lord is doing all of this to her. I mean, there's not, cops aren't going to believe her when she says that this really dangerous guy is chasing her around. And even so, what can they do? Give her a restraining order? That's not going to protect her. The main storyline really just follows Xander trying to figure out who Ellie really is, what this situation really is, because he kind of gets feelings from the beginning that she's not telling the whole truth. The book itself, just like every book that I read of Jessica so far, is mainly Xander and Ellie have this insta-love kind of a thing. He has this desire to protect her. She has a desire to protect him. Mainly, once she realizes that she likes him and that he's in danger, she's going to want to try and protect him and not get him involved in this situation. He's going to want to get involved and protect her in any way that he can. I do just want to say that I do have one idea of how these books connect. I could be wrong, and I have not done any research to check to find out if the names match and everything, but I wonder if the drug lord that was stalking Ellie is the same drug lord that eventually is in Dusty's book. Maybe I'm wrong, but the only reason, they're both crazy and they're both, I would say, manic. I would wonder why all of a sudden the drug lord left Ellie alone and stopped stalking her, because he does get beat up, but he's not dead, and he doesn't get arrested or anything. So short of the drug lord just not wanting to get his butt kicked again, I don't know why he would all of a sudden leave Ellie alone. I don't know. I could be wrong, and those may have nothing to do with each other. But that's my biggest issue, is that I find myself constantly trying to connect this book into the other books. Overall, though, very good book. And I am going to read Descent, though I don't know if I'm going to do my next review on it, only because I've done a lot of book reviews recently of Jessica, and I like introducing new authors. So at some point, I will do a review on that, though. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave those down below. I do have a Twitter and an Instagram if you guys prefer to use those, or email me. If you want my reviews every week, subscribe. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see you again soon.